To the latest in France, French authorities there arrested a man reportedly in advanced stages of plotting yet another attack. To Congressional counterterrorism advisor Michael Smith on how worried we should be right now about a copycat attack here in the United States. Michael.
Charles, good to be with you on Good Friday. I think that we should be very worried about other attacks taking place here in the United States. The Islamic State has repeatedly said that it intends to put American blood on its hands and to do so by executing mass casualty attacks here in the United States. I think we can reasonably assume that they have trained people whom they intend to move here into the Western Hemisphere, specifically into the United States, for the purposes of achieving that goal.
Michael, they say the arrest, there's a lot of speculation, at least the arrest of Salah Abdeslam actually sped up some of these attacks that might have been in the planning stages. If indeed there are people in America who are sympathetic or even connected to the same organization, could they be in even more of a hurry now to pull off some of these would-be attacks?
Yeah, there are a lot of stars aligning right now that serve to stimulate an interest in executing attacks in the United States, particularly around the Easter holiday. It's not just the arrests or the attacks that have occurred in Europe. You also have the news, or the claim at least, by the Department of Defense that they have killed a senior figure in the Islamic State's hierarchy. So all of that can serve to stimulate interest among people who have not been trained by the Islamic State but do want to demonstrate their support for this terrorist group by going out and executing attacks like what we saw in San Bernardino.
I do want to alert the audience, though, that FBI Director Comey has said he believes that there won't be any attacks or any inspired attacks from, copycat attacks, if you will. Now, we understand a certain degree of his job is to keep us calm and not fearful, but I would have to believe, and maybe you can help us out here, that the FBI is on heightened alert and maybe even using this as an opportunity to pick up transmissions and things like that.
I think we can reasonably assume that the FBI and other agencies look at what's occurred in Europe, and they recognize, again, that that can stimulate interest among various people, some of whom have never even corresponded with external operations figures in the Islamic State, stimulate interest in doing things, small attacks even, to demonstrate their support for the group. So yes, we can reasonably assume that they're out there working to identify communications which serve as indicators of potential attack plots or interest among specific individuals in going out and killing Americans right now. Meanwhile, I do think there's a problem with FBI Director Comey allaying fears in this manner, because what that can do is that can decrease the public's sense of there being a real threat here in the United States, when in fact there is a very real threat of similar events like what you saw in San Bernardino or worse events occurring. And by, reducing that fear or suggesting to the public that they don't need to be concerned, the public may not be as inclined to speak up if they see suspicious activity. So that's a strategic blunder on his part.
Yeah, some would argue, though, that sort of thin line between asking the public to be overly vigilant and also live their lives as if things are normal, although maybe things aren't normal anymore, right, Michael?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Things are not normal anymore.
Michael Smith, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles.